Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. In this video we are going to be outside and sit in my dark little basement in the middle of the night. We are in the yard of the next house that I'll be renovating. So this is a very cool house, and I've actually owned it for several years and just haven't started in on it yet. But we're going to go around back, find a nice pretty place to sit and get started. I haven't come up with a title for what the topic of this video really is yet, so I'll figure that out by the time I walk over here to this little shed. Before we get started, I'm sure a lot of y'all would be kind of interested in this house, so this will be a sneak peek big time because a lot of people don't watch this channel that are watching the other one. But this is the side of the house, so the yard just ran back up in the front to the road, and I own down to where you can see basically those bushes, and then the rest of it is sort of off the corner, and it is 4.5 acres total right in the middle of town. But it's just in a unique environment where it's sort of right on the edge of everything, and then this way is just wood. So it's pretty cool. Really, just when you're in the backyard of this place, this house is on a dead-end street, so it just seems like all of a sudden you're really secluded. So the back of the house being right here, all this has just gotten all grown up around this shed. I either want to buy or rent a mini excavator, so if I buy one, it's going to be trying to find a really good deal on one because I have so much use for them. And every time you rent something like that, it can be $600, $700, $800 depending on what you need it for. But I'd like to get that and just use it to just clear up stuff, cleaning things up, cutting down trees, digging up the stumps and all that. But for now, this is often my little place where I park stuff. So I'll park my different trucks, my trailers, and then on occasion I go walking around down in the woods. It's like a deer sanctuary here, so I mean, just walking around back here, it smells like I'm in a cow field. There's so many deers have been pooping, but I said that like it was a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's like I'm in the middle of the city, but it's like a very natural place, so it's like I have my own little park. But you know, I don't know what I'll eventually do to this house. Keep my canoe here. I'm just coming around here to grab one of these chairs. I'll probably pull it out of the other one, but enough stalling. Let's go ahead and get started. I think the predominant topic or kind of theme with my channel probably will end up being just encouraging people to get started. So I, of course, do want to do specifics of, all right, I'm rolling, I'm doing this, you know, what do I need to do here, here, and here? But I think most of all that, you can overcome that if you just get started, kind of whatever the path that you want to take is. If it's real estate, you know, it's just taking that step of actually deciding to do it, going out finding houses, making deals with people, and actually buying something, starting the renovation and all that. It's just getting up and doing it, getting up and doing it, getting up and doing it. A lot of the really specifics of how to, you'll figure that out once you've got the pressure of you've actually started and you're starting to put in, sort of, you've invested a certain amount of your time, money, and all that, so you're going to want to follow through. But until you actually get started, people don't have much skin in the game, so they'll tell themselves all kinds of things or let their bad habits kind of keep them from getting started. So in preparing and thinking about this video, I was looking into some different stuff and I took some notes on my phone. So what is your belief system? Do you want to believe what you think, or would you rather believe in a better reality? And then self-fulfilling prophecy. So I guess the topic of this video would be people telling themselves all kinds of stuff, making all kinds of excuses in their own head, and always wanting to poke holes in the thing that they're actually probably interested in doing. Now, I may be focusing on people who are just naysayers, but even I think naysayers oftentimes are people who actually want to do it. Why would somebody be watching my house renovation videos if they're not interested in the topic at all? So when I see somebody who wants to trash me in the comments, oftentimes I just shake my head and I go, what are they so resistant to? And you just do it yourself and do whatever version of it works for you. This isn't any kind of defense of that, because a lot of the times, unless it's somebody who just continually hassles me, and I may kind of get sassy or joke around with them, but when somebody gives me a hard time over something, I usually try to, at least, respond back to them in a better way than they kind of replied to me. Because I think oftentimes it's like they're interested, but then they're like struggling with the way they think about it. So that's one thing I've talked about, like when you're coming into something new that you want to succeed in, ignorance is often it can be the worst thing, and then it can be good at the same time. But when it's worse, it's because you just don't have that frame of, the frame of thought, I guess, if that's the right way to say that. Frame of references to even kind of deal with the topic that is at hand. So if you have to kind of develop a stomach for whatever it is you're trying to do. So with these notes that I just got an email on my phone as I'm trying to read it about a potential sponsorship for my YouTube channels. It's one I'm talking to people about. So that's kind of an exciting thing. Not this channel, the other channel. Nobody wants to sponsor this channel yet. It'll take a while. But with the belief system, people get stuck in something. They'll just think that either that a certain type of person that is doing something is bad, or just a certain type of person, that certain things are limited to certain people. And oftentimes, especially with something like what I'm doing, y'all can look at me, the way I look when I'm working on houses, the way I'm talking here, and compare me to another type of person that does stuff in real estate. You've got people who are flashy, big shots, and then you've got people that you have never heard of, people that you walk past in the grocery store, and you don't even notice them. And if you did notice them, you would never think that they've got as much real estate as they do, buying and selling houses all the time, renting out hundreds of houses, and they just look like absolute everyday Joes. The thing I've found out, this is going to be, I think, probably kind of a funny thing to bring up, is shoes. Oftentimes a guy can be all dressed like a slob, but usually a guy with money, you'll look down, even if they're old, he'll be wearing some comfortable shoes. He's not going to walk around in trashy shoes. But even that's not exclusive. I know somebody who is big in the real estate game, and they walk around in flip-flops all the time. So you can't always kind of know what a certain person is, or put people into a certain category. But so the belief systems. Some of this can develop, I think, just from your upbringing, or just you're just involved in something so different. Consider like how an engineer's thinking would be to an artist. Both of those people can end up owning real estate. I went to art school. One of the first things I ever did making money was painting watercolors and selling them. So then consider an engineer. Somebody goes to a very technical school, learns a very technical skill where it is an absolute rule book and all that kind of stuff, versus what I was doing in school. We were sitting around talking about our ideas, and then critiquing our ideas, and then creating artwork and all that kind of stuff. But that guy and me, we can come out of school, take on our occupations, and then still both end up doing the same thing, basically investing in real estate. So I just find it to be so interesting that you can mold it to kind of who you are, and then even within the same categories, say kind of low to mid-range rentals like I do, you can even cater that to the different people. So if you're the guy who likes to do everything on your own, you can buy the houses with cash, then you can renovate them all yourself with cash, then you can be a landlord and manage it and go fix everything on your own. Or another guy can use debt to buy houses, hire out the work, and then have a property manager take care of all of it. So it's the same thing, but handled in different ways. So I think that kind of shows that you can have totally different, I'm saying belief systems, I don't know if that's the right way to think about it, but you can come from just totally different areas and still do this. So partly I say this is because a lot of people's questions and opinions and comments and all that are based off of me, so they think that I've got something that they may not have. But I'm married, have a child, and lots of responsibilities, owning all these houses. It's a lot of bookkeeping, if that's what you call it, administrative type work, the actual renovating it. I don't have some small amount of stuff that I'm doing, and I'm just leaning back trying to figure out where to spend all my money all the time. My money is being spent like crazy on all kinds of stuff. But what I've done is I've kept my lifestyle basically the same, and my income has gone up, and I'm basically just shoveling all that money over into stuff that creates more money. And again, I do want to make another video that talks about, what is it that I want to make a bunch of money for. But you know, it's something I'm certainly not ashamed of or shy about talking about, because I do want to make a pile of money. And there's no limit to how much money that I would want to make. I'm sure that I could get to different levels to where how hard I want to pursue making more may shift. But you know, I think it'll be a while before that, because I'm not strictly doing this for myself. Started out doing it for that reason, but now, you know, with those responsibilities, I think, you know, with being a family man, I've got more in my head now. I've got a wife, and, you know, something was to happen to me, you know, what I'm doing is almost like playing musical chairs. The music could stop on all this for a number of reasons. So establishing all this for me is sort of insurance of sorts, kind of a life insurance, and then living insurance, you know, kind of something was to happen. It gives us the freedom to spend time together, to just be a little bit more spontaneous when it's needed, not just for fun, but like if something pops up and I need to go, you know, handle something, it's not this big disaster. I'm not asking permission to take off that day or anything like that. You know, the worst thing that happens is I go, man, I was supposed to go, you know, work on a house today, but, you know, I don't have to ask myself if that's okay. And then there are things that I just want in life. You know, I want a sawmill, I want a four-wheel drive tractor, I want a four-wheeler, I want to build a really big barn/workshop. But I get a kick out of just wanting things too. I don't actually have to buy them. I can just kind of, in my head, have fun. It's like Peter Pan or something. But I'm getting off topic. It's related, but off topic. So the person that I'm really talking to is somebody who has, I don't want to say a negative opinion, but an opinion that is not helping them out with the thing they want. So that's where I wrote, do you want to believe what you think, or would you rather believe in a better reality? And so I think in that sentence, people may get hung up on the word reality, saying, well, there's only one reality. But reality is whatever you make it. I mean, if you can make something happen, it's really happening. So one guy's reality, you could basically start off the same guy, but one guy can do a bunch of things and develop a certain way of thinking, and his reality is going to form. Whereas another guy can have that attitude of, you know, I can achieve anything I want to do, and his reality is going to be vastly different. So, so I guess what I'm saying is if you want something, but you're thinking something dumb that's keeping you from doing it, do you really want to keep believing that, or is believing that just a convenience to not doing it? Because if you tell yourself that it's got all these issues wrong with it, or you have all these certain barriers to it, it's almost like you're just telling yourself it's okay that you're not doing this. You know, you've got all this stuff in your way, and that could be, you know, it could be fairly realistic stuff in your way, but it doesn't mean you can't overcome it. Or it could be silliness. It could just be you're just not familiar with this yet, or you're coming from one place. Say you're coming from a position of you just don't have any money at all, so you've developed a bad attitude about people who do have money, which I think that is one of the silliest things in the world. It's a whole lot more people, I think, that have tons of money that are good people than people with tons of money that are bad people. There's good and bad people. It has no, I think, economic status attached to it. There are dirt poor people who are terrible people. There are dirt poor people who are wonderful people. And the same thing applies for people with boatloads of money, that own businesses, that own all kinds of assets, and so forth. It's the same thing. You know, I've heard people say, you know, well, they're real nice, and I'm like, well, nice doesn't mean anything. You know, there's violent criminals in prison that are nice people that did some crazy stuff. So nice alone doesn't mean anything. Any one characteristic alone doesn't mean anything. I don't know where I was going with that. So I think that basically what I was saying before about do you really want to believe it? You know, I don't want to say certain things on this channel because I want it to be family friendly, but it's the term of, you know, you believe your own BS. So a lot of people really do believe that, and if you're going to believe your own BS, you at least want it to be some good stuff, not something that's hurting you. So somebody might go, man, this boy really believes all his BS. but all mine is positive. You know, in my head, there's nothing that someone else has achieved that I can't achieve. I understand that my chances may be slightly less or on some degree than where someone else what someone else is doing, but anything within the realm of what I want to do is really still relatively small compared to what people have achieved. So I'm not going to think that I can't do something, you know, because we all pretty much have the same thing. That might have been a stretch to say that. You know, some people say that things aren't equal and things aren't fair and all that, but, you know, obviously people are going to have different skills that you can apply in different ways, come from different parts, places in life, different upbringings and all that. So all that is going to, I think, change where people kind of start at and the incline that they're going up on the way to whatever they want. The other thing I wrote down was self-fulfilling prophecy. And this is probably something I'm guilty of, not in the way I'm kind of talking about here, but with self-fulfilling prophecy, the whole concept of that basically is, you know, you wake up and you go, God, it's going to be a terrible day. You know, you kind of make it into a terrible day because you believed it right off the bat, versus, you know, when you're having those like really good days, those great times, where it's just like you feel invincible and you just feel like, you know, I am going to nail it today. And it's just like, you know, I don't even know, it's like you take something that has just perked you up. And I think that just shows how powerful the human brain is, that you can, I'm sure it has something to do with some endorphins or something like that. But the gist is that I think you are what you think. So if you can kind of change the way you're thinking and open up to the idea that what you may be thinking is not the best, and maybe just consider someone else's way of thinking. And all this is in terms of money is what I'm talking about, and getting to making that money. You know, whether it be investing in real estate, whether it be doing traditional investing, whether it just be getting your income higher. You know, I get people emailing me all the time with their situation. They tell me their situation, and basically the way they phrase it is this: I've got a family, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, but I really want to get started in what you're doing. How can I do that with all that? So the way, and I'm not going to sit here and get all kind of high and mighty and say that I've never feel that way myself, but I think the difference is do you always think like that, or sometimes do you think like, I've got a wife and these children, I need to do this for them, or that is the motivation to do this. This isn't what's keeping me from doing it. That's the reason I'm going to do it. And I guess the whole gist of it is that you got to make the best of your situation. And in that situation, you always have a way to look at things. And I think if you get into the practice of putting that positive spin on stuff, you're much more likely to succeed. Or at least just developing that habit. And one area I think where it really is going to help you is people will like you more. If you're one of those people who is complaining all the time, whether it be about everybody else or your own situation or things from the past or your fears of the future, all that kind of stuff, people will be standoffish of you, because I feel that same way about certain people. You know, you get that option to be around a certain person and you're just like, you know, I just don't want to hear all that today. I don't want to hear all that silliness. I don't want somebody to be pulling me down. You know, try not to be that person. It's easy to recognize it in other people, but it's hard to recognize that in yourself sometimes. Where are we at time-wise? 16:46. Starting to get a little dark out here too. This camera does decent in the dark, but I don't want to push it too far. So I don't know if there's anything else to say on that. I think that would be it. I can't go through every scenario in the world. So we'll go ahead and pretty much call it there. I do want to get y'all's opinion. I'm probably going to ask you this very often because I'm developing all this channel and everything. Is are you enjoying these videos that are sort of loosely financial? Again, my whole goal is more to get people started. I'm not enough of an expert to, once somebody's well on their way, to tell you but so much. But I've I've definitely crossed the barrier and gone pretty far beyond the barrier of being a person who can get started on stuff. Because that's often, I mean, that's where you're going to learn stuff. You're going to learn by not knowing by not knowing something. You know, I've said it before, everyone's always constantly asking me, how do you know how to do all this stuff to these houses? I bought a junky house. I bought a $5,000 house and then spent about a year working on it. You work on a total pile of junk for a year, and you are going to learn a whole lot about how do you work on houses. The things that I did not know how to do, I was uncomfortable fooling with electric. I didn't know anything about plumbing, but to me, plumbing is the most least intimidating thing in the world. It's just it looks like toys for grown-ups. You just glue pipes together. So in that, I wasn't intimidated by it, but I just didn't know kind of, you know, all the rules of how you use different fittings. And I'm sure I mess it up every once in a while, but everything still functions. Luckily, my father-in-law is a plumber, so I would call him on occasion. He didn't live near me, but I would call him, explain to him what I was doing, and he would kind of walk me through how to do it, or just tell me sort of the code on different fittings. With the electrical, I got somebody in to help me with stuff, and then while they were helping me, I was basically just a bird on their shoulder watching everything they were doing. And that person helped me with the first house, or I'll say I helped them on the first house while they wired some stuff up. And the whole time I was going, you know, what are you doing here? And I was paying him by the hour, so it didn't matter. If it slowed him down, I was paying for it. And that was a whole lot cheaper than any kind of schooling. I was paying him $15 an hour to do the electric. It was probably a job. It would have cost thousands to pay an actual, to pay a professional electrician. He is an electrician. Worked for a company, but he came in and he helped me. It's just somebody I know. So I got the work done, plus I learned how to do stuff. On the next house, I got him to help me, but when he showed up, I already had all the wires run. I had the wires run, I had all the boxes, so he had already told me the standard heights of all kinds of stuff. Just in running all the wires, I'd kind of got the gist of how to do all that, getting a breaker panel mounted and kind of figuring out the layout of all the breakers, stuff like that. And then so he came in and he kind of helped me more just to get it done, because I wired an entire house for the first time on my own. It was just kind of a slow thing to do on my own. And I got him to do some of the more uncomfortable stuff, like up in the attic. But then on the next house, I don't think I even got him to help me on that one. So first house, he helped me. The second house, it was sort of split. And then the third house, I was on my own, and now I'm completely comfortable doing any kind of electrical stuff on my own. Pretty much the same for plumbing. Every once in a while, plumbing gets a little confusing, but I just Google image stuff, and usually, Google image, you just write, you'll Google something like rough end sink plumbing, or distances of how far you can go from a trap to a vent. What diameter do you need to do this and that? Just whatever it is you're confused about, you can Google it. And I found that Google Images is often the easier way to find your answer versus trying to read through a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, that was an aside, but that is just an example of getting started, and then you will be forced to figure it out. You don't have to figure it all out before you get started. I don't even know what I was getting at now other than that. But we will call that. It's a deer walking up on me. I'm sure it can hear me, but it might not see me yet. Thank you all for watching these videos. I am having fun doing them, thinking about the ideas, and kind of thinking through my own thoughts on the ideas, in addition to doing the videos to hopefully help some people. So check out the links below in the description. If you're not watching the other videos, check those out on the renovation stuff. And I kind of have switched into doing not a total how-to, but getting into the details of how to do stuff more. And then I've got the ebook as well, Cheap Houses, How I Find and Buy Inexpensive Real Estate. And just talks about exactly how I am finding the stuff, like this house, 4.5 acres, big farmhouse. It is going to be worth a ton of money in a really cool setting, and I paid, including closing costs, was about $13,000. So I think the purchase price was $8,500, and the rest went up to about $13,000 with all of the closing costs. So it wasn't just a normal closing, it was all cash. But I had to do a lot of legal stuff to get the house to where I could even buy it from this person. So being a problem solver is probably your #1 way to success, and then just being a person who can take action. So check out that book if you want to read more. It's about 10 pages for sale on Amazon and as a PDF directly off my website. And if you buy it as the PDF, you can print it off if you prefer something that you can write on and highlight stuff. Otherwise, it is for sale on Amazon, and you just need the Kindle app for whatever you want to look at it on, a computer or phone, whatever. So that's it. Be sure, and I really mean it, be sure to send me your requests for videos. Some of these videos I'm just thinking about on my own, but the videos that I really want to make the most are the ones that y'all are requesting. So if you have any questions, let me know. And they can be broad. It doesn't have to be about real estate. It can just be about finances in general, or my opinion on something related to finances. I don't want to turn into one of these people who just run my mouth about anything, thinking that my opinion on everything matters. So I do want to kind of keep it at least abstractly related to finances. So that's it. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see you in the next video.